I don't know what it is, but Launchpad. As somebody that's in Cardano, I'm an ADA holder. This word, it seems to just sum up where I think we are. I think we're on the Launchpad. And from even a technical, fundamental level, the blockchain itself, I think it's just on its Launchpad. I don't think it's fully taken off yet. I don't think it's fully proven to everybody what it's capable of. And when it launches, and when it just kind of breaks through the stratosphere, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I really do. And this is ADA on the charts. This is a 6-hour chart. A lot of you out there, not all of you, but some of you, just kind of like, Dan, stop talking about a breakout. Dan, nobody knows what's going to happen. But this is too good. I wasn't actually even going to do a charting video today, but I opened up the chart and there's so much happening here. I want to dissect and I want to talk about the breakout or the breakdown. And this is what we do on the channel. We prepare for these things, right? So I want to show you what I'm seeing. It's getting close. I'm going to explain why in this video. But Roman over here on Twitter, he tweeted a little bit ago, and just shout out to him because he reminded me the fact that the Kraken report came out for July. The Kraken report is pretty cool. It's pretty good data. It dissects just the entire landscape of crypto and what's going on, especially in higher market cap cryptos. And he mentioned ADA in the article. Real quick though, before we talk about the ADA piece, between the rebounding crypto market and the hectic macroeconomic environment, it is difficult to anticipate what lies ahead. So even as I do this video, everybody, I just want to say CPI data coming next week. We're getting ready to dive into the charts. We're going to look at ADA price. It really is difficult, especially now. It's always difficult, but right now, it is like really difficult because the way that traditional markets and crypto are reacting to CPI data now is very volatile. And we're going to look at that in the charts right now in a few minutes as well. But however, on-chain data can help filter out the signal from the noise by providing evidence of trends in network usage and demand. So part of this article talking about ADA on-chain activity continued its tear in volume with a 268% rise year to date and 16% month over month. Though there is no single driver for the growth in ADA on-chain volume, several notable developments have occurred on the Cardano blockchain in recent months. And if you've been following along Cardano, if you're an ADA holder right now watching this video, maybe you've been an ADA holder for months, years, you know what they're talking about, right? All of these little things that have just happened over last months, not just in 1 month. And it gives some examples. Increased volume due to the launch of its first DeFi exchange, Sunday Swap, its first metaverse gaming application, Pavia. Developers increased the blockchain's block size limit by 10%. Cardano's ecosystem expanded to surpass over 1,000 projects last month, and expectations of an imminent hard fork likely contributed to ADA's volume growth, to name a few other developments. However, the Vassal hard fork in ADA was initially slated for June, but has since seen multi-week delays. So a lot going on, right? And even this brief paragraph, it just plays into exactly what I'm talking about, which is the Launchpad. All of this is happening in the middle of a bear market. And all of these things, as we get ready to go into the next cycle and nobody knows when it's going to happen, all of these things preparing Cardano for launch. And Ada Whale, the famous whale, he had this article written about him. This was from yesterday. Cardano ADA Whale explains why transaction volumes are going to absolutely explode. People forget that today's transaction volumes on Cardano are before arrival of borrow lending, synthetic, stablecoins, yield aggregators, world-class trading platforms, identity solutions, NFT bookstores with strong industry backing, music streaming, etc. Going to absolutely explode. And he's so good at just forming in very short tweets, and telling the story of Cardano, what is going on with Cardano. And this sums it up perfectly. And there's more, right? There's more reasons why Cardano is going to absolutely explode. I agree with him. But this is just a nice tweet. And so here we are again from a different perspective on the Launchpad. Vassal hard fork getting ready to happen, weeks away, and we prepare and we track ADA price through it all. And we've been tracking all of these stories through the volatile ADA price movements. But here we are on the weekly. Let's talk about this now. So first off, look at this. This candle going green. I think I just noticed it a little bit ago, but candle is green, just about 52 cents. This could change quickly. It's like an hour or so until this daily candle closes. Sometimes things get a little sketchy around that time, but this is a weekly green right now with some upward pressure. You can see it in the candle, and trading around 52 cents. Note the 200-week moving average, 56 cents. But now let's start dissecting this. I want to start explaining why I decided to actually do a charting video today, why I see a breakout getting ready to happen, and really start talking about that. You all know I've set context over and over and over again about the 20-day moving average crossing above the 50-day. Here's what's been happening so far. We got this initial bounce off the 20-day, back above the 20 and 50, pulling back down, and this was to be anticipated. We've been talking about this. This is exactly why some of my videos might even seem repetitive, because this is what we're tracking. But we got the support so far at the 20-day. What makes this so tough, right? What makes this so tough, and just from strictly technical analysis perspective, this chart is so bullish, but what makes it so tough is this chart. S&P 500, this is just this rally that's been happening. CPI data coming August 10th, next week, and we've seen what that's been doing to crypto, right? So here it is. Here's Bitcoin, for instance, CPI data, August 10th. July 13th, leading into that, there was a crypto, a pullback. And so if we see something like that again, all these bullish indicators are going to be really tested, right? And this bullish chart will be tested. But for Bitcoin, it could be a higher low put in going into that and then bounce to the upside. So it could just be a temporary drawback, but that thought, that sentiment needs to be applied to Cardano charts. Even though we're getting the 20-day moving average, it's like, all right, it's at 52 cents. Could it be testing the 50-day moving average soon? 48 cents. Yes, it could be very, very soon, especially we're going into the weekend right now as I do the video. But we're going to continue tracking just that entire area right there. And obviously the lower trend line here is what we're about to dig into as well. But this is the chart. This is why I was like, you know what? I'm putting this data out there because it's there. This is precisely what I've been covering on this channel. And I've been covering this stuff for years. And what we're looking at here on this chart is exactly the type of thing that excites me about TA. It's the formation of structure. It's the formation of the picture that's being painted, the bulls versus the bears. And these different patterns, they come into existence and we track them. And this pattern is an ascending triangle, meaning it has a series of higher lows at the bottom trend line, and this kind of general resistance at the upper trend line. Now, this is interesting to me because it really coincides with this curved trend line in blue that I've recently started tracking, right? So while this upper trend line resistance isn't perfect, right? Because, you look at the 6-hour candles, because that's the chart we're on, a 6-hour. You can see, this one goes a little higher, but there's a general vicinity of resistance that Cardano has seen right around 53 to 54 cents. That's an upper trend line, right? So upper trend line, resistance, and then lower trend line, higher lows. Now here's the thing. All of this happening while we're getting these support areas at these moving averages, and ADA on this chart working its way now to the apex of the triangle, the apex being kind of the end of this formation. And we know when we track these triangles, right around 70%, maybe 65, 70% of the way to the triangle is when we typically see breakouts. Now, that doesn't have to be a breakout to the upside. It could be a breakdown. This chart has the opportunity to go either or. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. Like that means that we don't know what's going to happen. And it's true. We don't know. This is data that helps us visualize, first off, the targets, the upside and downside, which helps us prepare, right, for these scenarios. But it's also data that kind of does give us, because historical context is important here, it does give us an idea of when the move is going to happen. So it's not exact, but 70% of the time, 65 to 70% of the time, we do get a breakout at the apex of these triangles. So here's what we're looking at. The breakout to the upside is inverse head and shoulders, right? So this is what I'm seeing here is a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder setup. So kind of a smaller pattern with an inverse head and shoulders breakout to around 62 cents. Okay, so 62 cents for the inverse head and shoulders. And then we have the ascending triangle breakout target to, I mean, really right around 72 cents or so. What's so important about these targets, everybody, is, and especially the ascending triangle target, this pattern that we have right here, is it is the upper trend line area, this macro upper trend line. And I don't want to zoom all the way out on the 6 hour. Let me go over here to, let's not even go to it. Let's go to the weekly. It's just easier. So there's that yellow upper trend line, right? It's just, it's the bear market. It's a bear market trend line. So going back to the 6 hour, there it is in yellow. It's the target for this 6 hour shorter term pattern that we're in. And that's exciting to track this. And it's why I was like, I got to do this video. We got to talk about this because that target is right there. And the resistance, of course, is right there. But this could be the continuation of a rally that everybody's kind of been waiting for cautiously, and it really just hasn't happened. There's been no explosive move yet, really, for most of crypto, right? Bitcoin not even having its breakout, its true breakout explosive move. Here we are in ADA. This is what it could look like up into that 72 cent macro resistance area. But regardless of that, there's the target around 72 cents. Here's the inverse head and shoulders shorter term target around 62 cents. Here's what, wrapping and tying into this, we have the 200-week moving average is around 56 cents. So if the inverse head and shoulders 62 cent target gets hit, going back to the weekly, that means ADA will have broken back above the 200-week moving average in red. That's a big deal on the macro. It's a big deal in terms of continuing to monitor the bear market formation. If Cardano can break back above, even if it falls back below, that it's a part of the momentum shift story on the macro. And while we're here, we're trying to be patient through these times, tracking ADA price. We need to see that story start playing out, which is the long-term momentum shift, right? So it could be volatile. There can be, of course, more downside, but a big first step is breaking and closing a weekly candle above the 200-week moving average. It's a big step. And ADA is right there with a short-term target at 62 cents, which is above the 200-week moving average. And then another one, if this ascending triangle target gets hit, the 20-week moving average, a 66 cent area for ADA. If you go back to the weekly, here it is. Boom. Right there, everybody. The 20-week moving average. And that's the big one. That is just the confluent area with that yellow bear market trend line, the lower high trend line. That area right there getting tested again is huge. It's key, again, in the macro story of this bear market formation. And if ADA can manage, if it gets there, first off, if ADA can manage to close a candle above there, it's a big deal. So I want to digress for a second because this video is kind of about these upward targets. It's a kind of a bullish scenario. And I just want to say there's always the flip side to that, right? We have to be extremely careful to just be like, dude, we're getting a breakout. It's happening. I'm bullish. Because the downside is 100% in play as well. I haven't dug into those charts, but I do want to just draw your attention to it really quickly. If we're looking at the 6 hour chart, here's what to anticipate. Downside. So, and especially going into this, again, CPI data, potentially a drawback for crypto. So on the 6 hour chart, here's the trend line. It's 49 cents or so. So here's what I'm thinking. We have 49 cents, lower trend line of this triangle. And then we have the 50-day moving average down here around 48 cents. Let's call it 48 cents. So going back to this area, 48 cents, remember, this is a 6 hour chart, but on the daily, this is the 50-day moving average, and the lower trend line. So here's like a support area right here. If there's going to be a throwback, let's track to see what happens. But keep in mind with these patterns, oftentimes, and we can go back and we can look at videos from this YouTube channel tracking these exact things, and this is why I track it. A breakout to the downside and pulled back into the apex for a breakout to the upside. It's called a busted pattern, meaning it's kind of like a fake out, right? So it falls and then boom, back to the upside. So if going into CPI data news kind of on August 10th brings us down, I'd be still tracking this, not to throw hopium out there, but just because it happens often. And especially because, and I might be doing a video on this when it happens, we get the CPI data, and this happened in July, and what happened? There's a short-term swing to the upside. So if it does come down, short-term swing to the upside is something we would track, and along that is the narrative of what's happening here on this chart is an ascending triangle. If things come down, we're going to track this, right? So again, we're speculating right now, but this is it. We're sitting here visualizing all these scenarios, because if you're like me, you're just kind of like out there like, what's my accumulation looking like right now? What am I doing? And part of it for me is like, I need to have a grasp on what could happen next at any given time and where we are, right? Before I feel comfortable doing certain things. So that's why I do these videos. So those are my thoughts on Cardano today. Everybody, real quick, don't leave. This was CardanoThor. He invited me on his channel today. I'll put a link in the description. Please go follow him on Twitter and also subscribe to him on YouTube. Just such a gracious host to have me on the channel. We talked about my NFT project, Coco Loco, that I launched last year, and we just talked about Cardano NFTs in general. And it was just such a good conversation, such a good dude. And please go follow him. Check it out. Check the interview out if you'd like. And I was really excited and grateful to be able to have that chat with him. So thanks to Thor for having me on. And let's continue to track and see what happens next, everybody. But this is the chart. This is the chart that I'll be tracking at least. And I hope you have an amazing start to your weekend. I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.